on that blue side, bans out LeBlanc first. Of course, we saw it All-Stars. You don't leave that open for Faker.
Faker has not lost a professional game on LeBlanc.
Yeah, there you go. And he's played against a lot of different teams, so I think that just proves the point. You never leave that champion open. Lulu banned out right away from T1K, and then an Evelyn ban from Blue. Bengi, of course, Evelyn is one of his default jungle champions.
Yeah, Thresh, not really, I mean, Hart is an amazing Thresh player, but Hart has really been defaulting a lot to Nami recently. But just a red side ban, generally speaking, that you're likely to see.
Now, I'm wondering if, with the Evelyn ban, T1K assuming Blue perhaps prioritizing that Lee Sin, with Evelyn gone, just going to take it away from Bengi, put him in a tough spot. That's going to leave Nami open for them. Of course, Mandu, a well-known Nami player.
Well, Spirit plays Lee Sin, or he really prefers Kha'Zix, honestly. And there is Kassadin.
Oh, that's true.
And Dade has been given Kassadin.
Yes, that's the end of that story. Rise was the last ban. T1K.
That is one of Dade's better champions.
I mean, you know, you do only get 3 bans on each side. And what I really like is that Blue didn't deny themselves anything through their bans. They actually just got some safe bans against the enemy team. Nothing too targeted other than LeBlanc. But nothing hurt themselves, whereas T1K, you could argue the Thresh ban wasn't really necessary. Faker's played some mid lane Rise before. And we are going to see that Nami locked in on top of Twitch. So they do get the support deny against Hart. Lee Sin left open for Spirit. Will he pick that up? And
Piglet, a great Twitch player. Deft, he's played some Twitch, but he really hasn't been as impressive as him on that champion.
Yeah.
And really, Deft is much more about Kog'Maw, Lucian. He's one of the few players that will play Varus right now in Korea.
I love that.
So he's got some great team fight positioning these days. He can play some of the more immobile AD carries. And also, you always have to be worried about his pocket Ezreal, because this guy performs on Ezreal even when given the meta, you wouldn't think that would be very possible. But the real question here is what is going to be the counter pick? Because obviously SKTK is ready for this Kassadin pick. Dade loves to play that champion. So you know it's coming, and you have a plan for it. So we'll have to see what it is.
I hope he picks up Yasuo. Just decides to try to go head-to-head in pure skill against that Kassadin.
Well, usually Zed would be the counter pick, and of course Faker's Zed is the stuff of legends.
Oh,
so.
Yeah. And he's shown us that his Zed play is still there in Paris. A Match 3 highlight is getting quite the crowd reaction here in the Tiger Dome. Shyvana is left open, and TF. Oh, Kale gets locked in right away for Faker in the mid lane.
Yeah, Kale has only been played by Faker once professionally. So, trying to diversify just a little bit, but Kale just a very popular pick in general these days, due to that insane team fighting ability she has with Rune's Hurricane.
And then Yasuo being highlighted, I would say more so for fan service here, but Dade's never been afraid. That would mean it is a top lane Kassadin, which we've seen relatively recently. And that Ezreal you mentioned being highlighted over too. Dev just cycling through all the AD carries at his disposal. Orianna the last highlight for what looks like a mid lane pick, but this could just be trying to throw T1K off a little bit before they lock.
Well, Sona Ezreal, a classic poke lane as well. Kog'Maw Sona, another one where you've got a lot of peel for Kog'Maw, and you have an ability just to use the sustain in the poke and laning phase to be extremely annoying.
And Ziggs locked in.
Top lane Cass again.
And then a Jarvan for T1K.
Okay, well, this got a little weird.
Been a while. Prince. It's been a while since we've seen the Prince of Demacia here on Summoner's Rift here in Korea.
Now, Jarvan it's really difficult to hit people with your EQ combo.
Yeah.
This was probably only picked because Kog'Maw and Sona do not have dashes. So they're trying to bottle up the Kog, and this is a specific Kog'Maw counter pick. They saved the jungler to last to see what Def would be playing, because they know how good his positioning is, and they just want to corral him as soon as possible and punish him when his flash is down. So really interesting, but definitely a response to the Kog'Maw Sona lane more than anything else. Now the top lane Kassadin, for those of you who missed out on the Champions qualifiers, we did see Najin Blacksword and Duke, formerly known as Leopard, who has moved from the KT Bullets to Sword, play that top lane Trinity Force Kassadin and go 8-0-6 on that champion. Now, it was against an amateur team. I don't think his build was optimal in that game, but we'll see how it works out here.
Yeah, Impact, or not Impact, Acorn, surely one of the players we can trust to modify something for better use in that top lane than Jarvan being used in conjunction with Nami. Can they really get that Kog'Maw locked up and turn those team fights around before Acorn can get working? This is where it all comes down for SKT T1. Can they tie it up 1-1? Or will Samsung lead 2-0 towards a 3-0 victory in the Masters Final? We'll find out as we jump right into set number 2 between SKT T1 and Samsung here at the Masters Final. Baker's taking a shot from Dade, and Dade's having a blast.
I'm just sad, Chobra, because with that 2 Chainz song in the intro, we really should be watching some LeBlanc here as well.
That would be quite fitting. Faker almost leading us to believe that he's purposely taking those shots and just going to go back home.
Now, Dade, for those of you who don't know, is a very good 6 player. We just haven't seen him play it in a while. And Acorn up in the top lane has started with the Dorn's Blade. Kassadin, I don't know how vulnerable he is to lane swaps. I would guess very, because his jungling would be very slow alongside his jungler if he was forced into a follow situation. So I'm wondering whether SK Telecom is going to try to abuse this situation or not. Because, of course, Shyvana's jungle clear speed with Jarvan will be much better.
Do you see that early Dorn's Blade for Acorn? Stack that AP in terms of his runes and masteries, but starting with now a little bit more bruiser items.
Well, he's starting with 64 AD, so he's runed into some additional attack damage right there. Kassadin's base AD is 52.
Yep, and that'll, of course, help him also run through the jungle a little bit, I assume.
And very interesting, so not a lot of deep wards going on right here. Sona is actually disrupting the jungle right now up in the top side, just being annoying as possible and poking up there, seeing what information she can get. And yeah, it looks like the lane swap will be initiated. Jungle follow here for Kassadin, and this is going to be very interesting because I don't know how well this is going to work.
Faker and Dade going very aggressive at each other. Faker just following through, taking advantage of how Kayle works. As soon as your enemy turns your back, you know you have that advantage. But doesn't have too much attack speed just yet. He is in the lead in terms of health, though, dodging all of those bouncing bombs.
And looks like we do see Shyvana and Jarvan splitting up a little bit in the jungle. Impact still level 1, so is Acorn, but Acorn and Spirit are sticking together. Fast push here from Hard and Deft onto the tower. And same thing from SK Telecom T1K down in the bottom lane.
Yeah, they're chasing through as much as possible. Kumandu just making sure to go off a little bit while they have the chance to get some vision or at least stand guard. Make sure we don't see an invade in towards Mengi. Mengi was running pretty low. All
right, Sona recalling right now. Hard going to be moving into that bottom lane, so they're already setting up. They did only 1 run through the jungle right here, and Spirit and Acorn going to hold just so they can make sure that Kassadin doesn't get dove. Kog'Maw alone in the top lane. But if you look at this, what happened was the Samsung Blue bounced the wave off the tower, so now it's pushing back towards Kog'Maw. Kog'Maw also able to do a lot of long-range harassment with that Bioarcane Barrage. Impact coming back with some pots, but not a lot else. Didn't manage to farm up much in the jungle, but he knows he's alone up on the top side, so it's okay for him to be there. Spirit, in the meantime, he's not getting a lot of jungling done, so they're sacrificing kind of jungle gold, and this is freeing up Bengi to counter jungle just in order to keep the Kassadin safe. So Samsung Blue investing a lot so far into making sure that Kassadin can stick around in this game.
You know, and he's doing just that, barely sticking around, and Kassadin, you know, you don't have to really rush that early game too much, just make sure you don't fall behind. Deft, and you know, Blue really does this a lot. They put Deft on Kog'Maw, then they leave him alone, and they provide some good warding now and then. Hart pokes back once in a blue moon to remind the enemy team that he is available for support, and that really does wonders in allowing Kog'Maw to solo lane.
Yeah, Hart just putting in a ward down there. Good trading from Impact, actually. You want to try and chunk down that AD carry while he's by himself. And Impact got some good farming in right there. And, I mean, Acorn is requiring a lot more jungle babysitting than Shyvana. And that's one of the reasons why this top lane Kassadin is a little bit more of a risk. If you get that 1v1, it's great. But 2v1 presents a lot more problems.
Oh, Dade low on mana. Faker looks like he's going to chase all the way through. Ghost used by Dade. Faker just going to chase him out, satisfied with taking that summoner out.
And Dade, the only player I know of who runs Flash Ghost on Ziggs. He always does it. Most people run Heal or Barrier alongside Flash, but Dade really is fantastic in the team fights with the mobility.
That's very true. Faker just chasing Dade out with his heal speed boost, but he's also low on mana now, so I think the trades will stop for the time being. Dade had gone home for a second Doran's Ring, which is giving Faker that CS lead. We'll see if Faker's going to stick around as long as possible to get a tier 2 item and not have to get a second Doran's. Bengi not finding that pink ward. Moved out of it too quickly, it seems. And as you mentioned, Spirit still here in the bottom lane. They had a nice little trade earlier with Acorn and Spirit, but not finding those chances anymore. Piglet and Mondo doing a good job of chipping away at this tier 1 and bottom.
Indeed. Well, and they've been on the defensive this entire time. There has been about equal damage going down the top lane. Impact is zoned out now by the Sona and Kog'Maw combo, but Kassadin still a little bit behind on levels and a little bit behind on CS as well. He's going to have to teleport now to get back. And Spirit, he's been held back down a little bit as well. Bengi with a level advantage, and he's going to go ahead and start the Dragons as they are at that side of the map together.
Yeah, with that Bastion standard, Piglet and Bengi will help out, along with Kale too. That attack speed really going to benefit all three members here as they go for the Dragon, and even Impact when they go into those team fights. A nice little just AoE buff for the team when they have to fight together.
Yeah, and this Jarvan pickup is very specific to the composition that Samsung Blue is running. I'm sure that they thought, well, Deft is likely to play Kog'Maw. This is Samsung Blue is a team that...
Whoa, Acorn running really low. There's so much damage over time going down. Piglet doesn't want to risk it, flashes forward for one last auto attack, picks up the kill.
And the all-in here, you have to be really careful of that. Kassadin, pre-6, of course, without that mobility, has a lot of issues. And so Acorn, the king of the KDA here, just gives up first blood in a 1v2, overplaying his hand just a little bit.
Faker, meanwhile, continuing to push Dade out a little bit. Dade forced to use his ultimate to clear the wave and then go pick up the blue buff as Hart started leashing it. Hart's going to run pretty low. Dade might have to go up and help him out, especially without mana. They're going to have to trade off damage here just a little bit. A slower blue buff than usual, but they still secure it for Dade. Hart sneaks around for that XP.
Faker recalling to base right now. Got the Stinger heading into that Nashor's Tooth. Probably a Runaan's Hurricane up next just for that insane team fighting damage. Let's check out what happened to that bottom lane. Oh,
just a typical ambush. Did they get the bubble? They get just so much slow and
nice.
The bubble.
Mondo with the skill shot. And that'll be it for Acorn. He's going to fall pretty quickly. Piglet, as you said, flashing, and he also used heal just to get out of the turret a little bit faster. So he was
Acorn gonna turn things around here as we watch that replay. Spirit comes in for a gank. A bubble going down, but Spirit flashes out from it and kicks Piglet behind for a nice counter kill with Acorn.
And Spirit has been one of the most quickly rising junglers. You see him giggling on your screen right there. In Korea, I mean, this guy's mechanics and team fight awareness are so good. And you see it come into play right there. Hits that level 6, comes into the lane, flashes out of a crucial skill shot, and lands it onto Piglet. Of course, Piglet not able to do much without summoner spells in that situation. So turning it around, just a tad. Acorn's going to get some much-needed free farm in that lane.
Faker getting a lot of damage down onto Dade. Not afraid of trading, of course. Has that heal with that blue buff. Can rely on that to sustain out of equal trades.
Yeah, he's really prioritizing Faker that is prioritizing heavy trades here with Dade over getting any objective damage down, really.
Yeah.
So it's been a pretty back and forth, tit for tat mid lane this game. Dade playing a little bit more passively, as you can see right here.
And Samsung, we have 4 members in the bottom lane, but a crucial ward is going to spawn all the Acorn still jumps in, gets a nice silence and tons of damage onto Piglet. They force the tidal wave to come out from Mandu, and Hart takes a bit too much damage onto the tower. Samsung has to back off.
Now, I don't really understand what they were hoping right there. They didn't have hard CC from Hart or from anybody really, and Spirit's flash was down, so he was going to have a hard time getting in behind, but they do time it well. So basically what happened there was they wanted to lane swap to get Kassadin into the Shyvana lane, but they had a little time left on teleport. The wave wasn't quite pushed into the turret yet, so whatever, might as well make an attempt at a gank, see if you can get lucky, but nothing really likely to happen.
Deft now here matched up with Piglet. You know what Ziggs reminds me of, Monty?
What?
A fluffy little Chua. Just really? Gotta put that out there. He's psychopathic, he's little, as Piglet takes some damage from Deft. But it's pretty much an equal trade, other than Art actually taking no damage from anybody.
We've been playing too much Wild Star, Trevor.
I actually think it's quite the opposite. I don't think we've played enough compared to what other people have done. But the Chuas will always be in my mind.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, wow. Okay, well, Dade having to recall quite a bit this game overall.
Yeah, he's been going back very often.
He has to just get some more sustain right there. Piglet standing in a ward. They're trying to make a play onto the cog.
Piglet ambushes, but Faker spotted. Bengi spotted. Samsung is aware, but still gets bubbled. Hart not in a good place, gets Ignite down. Spirit comes in for the save, but we see Bengi chasing down onto Hart. The Mega Inferno Bomb not hitting enough people. Piglet takes some damage, has to run away. Spirit comes in for an execution onto Nami, and here comes Dade for the cleanup. Piglet will go down to one last auto attack, and Faker all alone, doesn't have the intervention anymore. Dade not going to chase through.
Yeah, you don't have to over pursue that. You already won the trade in that skirmish, 3 for 2. And Samsung did a good job of reading that. Dade was a little bit late, but had a great ult, which forced them back underneath the turret as well. So got some damage down onto Piglet, blew his heal, forced him out of the fight, and everybody else had to continue to tank the turret aggro on the dive. So a very well-placed ward in the forward rush on the lane to make sure that they could see Piglet just creeping in there with the ambush.
Yeah, and as soon as Bengi jumped on to Deft, we saw Spirit kick him out from his own Cataclysm.
Yeah, so they know exactly what Bengi wants to do right here. So yeah, he sees who gets in. And look, Spirit is just standing next to Deft, waiting for that to happen.
Yeah.
So again, Spirit just thinking 2 steps ahead in terms of his skirmishing. Does end up dying, but so does Bengi. Piglet also gets slowed down by the Void Ooze. Easy for Dade to follow up. And they decide, you know, Faker's too fast with his heal speed on, so why bother going for it?
Now, Impact's teleport was stopped by Acorn at that point with a quick little silence.
Interrupt. It's no longer a silence, but yes. And yeah, so interesting play there. Acorn's teleport going to come up relatively soon. Piglet is trying to make the forward plays.
Yep, and you know, you just get the damage down, chase someone out of lane. That's more than enough. Has that Blade of the Ruin King, didn't use it. So point proven. Of course, he just wanted the Dragon. He's going to want that Blade active if they have to fight at Dragon. Piglet not showing up the Dragon just yet. Picks up some extra CS. And Spirit's looking for a steal. Sonic Wave seems to be a tad early. But the poke starts coming in. Look at the damage from Dade onto Bengi. Piglet has to flash backwards. Took too much damage. There's a Mega Inferno Bomb blocked by the intervention, but Spirit has stuck onto a Heart, has taken out Bengi, and Mandu is being chased down by Deft with some free damage. Piglet still running away from Spirit. Spirit commits too much to the Twitch chase as Faker saves him. A nice crescendo onto Faker. Intervention down. Deft will pick up a double kill.
Wow, so coming into that fight, just a little bit of an overextension into the jungle from SKT. Piglet got way too excited and had to blow his flash early. Because the problem is when Piglet comes in like that, it has to blow his flash. Okay, all of a sudden he's immobile, which means that you have to use the intervention on him in order just to keep him alive. And then you can just switch targets so easily. I mean, this Jarvan is very squishy right now with just the Spirit of the Elder Lizard. So Piglet gets chunked out. There you go, have to use the intervention. Bengi's already taken a bunch of damage from Dragon, and the Tidal Wave not able to disengage because it doesn't hit Kog'Maw. Spirit again with the plays, just all over Piglet right here. Does end up going down, but in the end, crescendo happens, and that's it. Now, SKT does come back and get the Dragon after the fight, so that's fortunate for them.
Yeah, but a near steal from Spirit and then a quick getaway with the ward. So, as you mentioned, that kick from Spirit, it led to his own death, but it kept two more people closer, allowing Faker to be caught without his intervention up.
So now, when we see Piglet going into the mid lane right before that Dragon, typically after you get Blade of the Ruined King on Twitch, you want to stay in the mid lane with the support just because you have maximum map pressure so you can roam that way and respond to other people that might overextend. And especially because Faker has great wave clear in a side lane and dueling capabilities anyway on Kayle, generally the strategy you want to use. But no minions up in the mid lane right now. Twitch may be a little bit scared of overextending. Vision about equal for both teams.
Yeah, and some nice pink wards in crucial junctions to make sure Piglet can be found and also get rid of some enemy wards if they come deep. We do have the ROA, the Rod of Ages, finished on Acorn's Kassadin. Finished about 3 minutes ago or such. Ooh, right around the corner from that ward. They're not going to be spotted yet, but no one shows up in the mid lane, so Mandu going to show himself. And Piglet following short after to pick up that CS.
Yeah, Pig's going down immediately on Piglet and Mandu. Just a cute little move there while they waited, seeing if they could perhaps catch somebody out. You got to continue to make moves like that if you're ever actually going to make the play, but Spirit is here.
Spirit comes up from behind and kicks Twitch right into Dade, and there's the intervention once again, but a nice crescendo as soon as intervention comes down. Dade trying to put down damage, but he's low on mana, relying on that blue buff. Faker comes in and starts zoning everyone out, and that will keep Piglet alive.
And Deft going to get some free hits on this bottom tower right now. Again, Piglet perhaps playing a little too aggressively, and Spirit has just been reading him like a book too. He's always there when Twitch comes out of ambush, and that's just great game sense from Spirit.
Mandu being annoyed by Heart. A last second interruption on his recall. Piglet looking for an ambush, but Spirit already here. Spirit is all over this AD carry, both AD carries really. Piglet dodging that living artillery, and Deft has to watch out at this point. They gotta assume Mandu there. Bengi is waiting nearby. He gets spotted by the ward, so Deft will back off as Heart recalls home.
Well, it's hard to play Twitch against Lee Sin and Kog'Maw just because they have so much vision over you at all times that it does make the aggressive ambush pick play a little more risky.
Very true.
And Acorn, he's got the Rod of Ages, so he's opted to do a very different build than we saw Duke doing, who decided to go for the Trinity Force first. So instead looking for a little more tankiness and moving into some AP. I'm very interested in what his second item is going to be.
Yeah, we'll see if he just goes the standard full AP route or adds a little bit more bruise through or auto attack damage here for himself. See Faker just farm up. Deft also hanging out in that bottom lane. He's well ahead of Piglet in terms of that CS. And at some point, Dade actually catching up just fine against Faker.
Yeah, and I'm surprised. This Kassadin has really been able to stay even with this Shyvana in this game, so it's been a good job from Acorn and Spirit. Looks like that babysitting the bottom lane did work out.
Spirit's gonna get knocked up, but Bengi denied right away with the satchel charge. Spirit, knowing that they got the first hit onto Bengi, will try to turn things around.
And I think that was perhaps a mistake by Bengi in this game because Spirit gave so much information about where he was throughout all of the early game. And that left some opportunities, I think, for Bengi to make plays on the lanes, and he really just didn't do anything. Was much more concerned with farming in that circumstance. And I think that actually really hurt because when an enemy team is forced to give you so much information about the location of their jungler, you have to do something with it. That is insanely valuable.
Whoa, Faker gets caught with a nice power core slow, gets kicked behind, intervention used, just to try to pick up a kill onto Hart, but Hart is keeping his distance, will stay alive, and there's a Mega Inferno about to pick up another kill on Faker. Dade's going to be smiling about that one. Faker doesn't look too happy. Acorn has teleported to this bottom lane. Mandu and Piglet caught under the tower. Def gets bubbled. There's the tidal wave. They deny Acorn the jump right under. Piglet getting some nice damage with that rat-a-tat-tat, but Def will get nice damage onto Piglet. Here's the teleport coming in from Impact in time to save his teammates. Def escaping with below half health.
Really clutch support play from Mandu right there to prevent that big, scary dive from happening. There's another bubble right on the side, getting some free damage down from Piglet. So they were able to push it off. Bengi trying to defend the mid lane turret right now. He's still really squishy. He needs to get some tankiness ASAP, or when he ults, he's just going to get exploded.
Yeah.
And look at the combo of CC here. There's the slow from Sona going down. Ward hop, kick, satchel charge, crescendo. Beautiful combo.
That satchel
from
charge
Samsung Blue. And they're so comfortable with chaining the CC. It's so fluid. And Faker burned both of his summoners, burned his ult, and he still couldn't get out of that.
No, and couldn't pick up the kill on Hart either. He does have the recurve bow working towards that Runan's Hurricane, most likely in this scenario. And Hart now starting to put some deeper wards in as they want to make some plays as a team. We do have now Impact forced to pick up earlier MR with that double AP, and of course having to just deal with Cassidy in lane. And that's not going to hurt too much. Of course, Kog'Maw, one of those AD carries that has tons of mixed damage, but we'll see how that fares. It is going to prevent him from doing any easy dives in the mid game.
Well, it is going to be good against Kog'Maw up until he gets Blade of the Ruined King. Right. And then that's when Kog'Maw really changed. Now, Deft has decided to go for a Trinity Force first this game, just for that increased mobility and tankiness. When you're worried about a Twitch popping out at the middle of nowhere and killing you, it can be useful to have a bit more kiting potential with the Trinity Force. Of course, Blade of the Ruined King can offer you the active as well, but in team fights, you get a ton more mobility over the entire length of a team fight with the T-Force.
Bengi forced to use his lens. Pinkbar not able to clear that ward out, and that's an easy zoned out Dragon for Samsung Blue. And Bengi opting for the Spectre's Cowl as his first defensive item, again with all that magic damage, mixed damage coming in from the blue team.
So Sork Shoes and Distortion Enchantment up next for Acorn. So valuing that utility and his ability to respond very quickly with teleport over everything else. I really want to know what the next core item is going to be. Now, when we've seen Samsung Blue play Cassid in the past, and granted it was Dade, his build was Chalice, Rod of Ages, and then only after getting those two core items did he pick up a tier. So possible to see that here.
Yeah. I mean, these teams clearly share a lot of information between players, whether it's in the same team or not. And Acorn, one of those players who's willing to play champions, not common to his lane, make it work out. He's played that Lulu before. Joining him in those ranks would probably be, of course, the Shield team, just because they have players who have been in different positions for so long.
And when you look at the scaling, too, I mean, Cassidy, one of the most terrifying late-game champions in existence. And Zig's able to turtle very effectively until that late-game status, as well as just being an insanely high damage output late-game carry. Kog'Maw in the same boat. Now, if they can get enough MR, SK Telecom K, they may be able to pull it out, but I don't think so. I think the burst damage is just going to be too big.
Yeah, we'll have to find out. I mean, a lot rests on the targeting and the support value from both Kale and Mandu. Mandu's known to make some miraculous saves for T1K on Nami. See if we can pull it off again. Piglet dodging everything to try to get to Dade, but Dade saw him clearing out the minion wave, not taking his chances. Deft now picking up even more free farm. He's 50 CS ahead of Piglet. Just riding strong.
All right,
top lane.
So Acorn is going to go for the Seeker's Arm Guard and the Sonya's Hourglass. Oh.
Wow, look at the damage onto Faker. He only has that Rod of Ages and Seeker's Arm Guard, but then there's a Runa's Hurricane. Acorn comes in with the help of Hart. There's a teleport coming in from Impact. Acorn has to run away, but a nice crescendo. Can Acorn come in for the kill? He'll get it, and he'll flash out. Impact tries to chase through. Spirit coming in. Can he save Acorn? Acorn is going to be able to void walk out of danger. Bengi caught behind Piglet with 2 low health. to follow up. Spirit chases down onto Bengi with the execute, and they will chase away the entire team of T1K, taking 2 members down and sending 3 home.
Wow, insanely good team fighting from Samsung Blue right there in order to protect Acorn, and actually the Kassadin shield really saving him against this Shyvana doing a lot of magic damage. So Acorn right here dueling with Faker. Hart waits for the longest time possible in order to use that. I think he was hoping to catch them both. Now look at this, Spirit, kick out right there. Gets hit by a bomb from Dade at the same time. No, only 1 target from the tidal wave. Impact turns back around onto Dade because he knows the Kassadin's out of the fight now. And then Bengi, the follow-up cue. Spirit, this game has been a monster. This guy's Lee Sin play has been so on point. Crazy.
He is all over the T1K team like peanut butter on bananas.
I mean, yeah, you could say he's only 2-2-4. He hasn't contributed to that many kills, only 60%.
The work he's done.
But he's just been in the right place at the right time. And he's made the absolute proper decisions in the team fighting. Crazy.
Yeah, and you know, we look at that dive earlier from T1K where he kicked Bengi out right away. As you mentioned, he doesn't choose to go back into the fight. He just stays in the Cataclysm with depth. And then in this last fight, he pushes them out. And we do see Samsung going for a blue buff steal. Now they have just complete control over this half of the map.
Yeah, well, large gold lead now for Samsung Blue. Not insurmountable from SKTK, but more than likely it's going to cause them a lot of problems. Bengi has gone for the Aegis as a second item, but the problem is that he's...
Oh, long range tidal wave is going to catch Dade. Dade's really low. He gets eliminated by Piglet, but look at Spirit coming up once again onto Piglet. A nice intervention. What a fight by T1K. Baker will follow through, and that leaves this side of the map open for T1K to take over. Def the only one to walk out of that fight.
And Acorn a little bit punished right there for not having his teleport up, and some good vision. I'd like to see how that fight was initiated again, because Mondu finally hit that good tidal wave. We've been waiting for one kind of all game, because Blue has done a really good job of splitting up, so it's impossible to hit a decent tidal wave. But now SKTK roaring back into this one, cutting that gold lead.
Yeah, Acorn just trying to delay them as long as possible. Def has some nice wave clear. They are going to chase T1K away from the tier 2. And what's also impressive about that tidal wave, it wasn't in the jungle. It was in the entryway, but it was a fairly open avenue for Samsung Blue, and they were just caught off guard. A super long-range tidal wave followed through by another knockup from Jarger. Let's take a look at that replay.
Yeah, Piglet coming in right there. And the knock-up onto Dade, and Bengi too hits a really good engage on this one. Cages hard. He also zones Deft out on the backside of the pit so that Piglet and Faker can just focus down Spirit without Kog'Maw's interference, and that probably kept Piglet alive right there.
Oh, absolutely. And a nice intervention this time by Faker where he could do damage during the intervention rather than have to run away.
Piglet going for the Blade Youmuu's build, which is great for creating picks and for split pushing lanes. So you can just move so quickly with ambush coming in, and especially if you have Tide Caller's Blessing on Nami too.
Yeah.
Youmuu's ambush, Tide Caller's Blessing, you are moving at Mach 3 with that twitch in order to pick somebody off who's out of position.
T1K looking to pick up a dragon off of that fight. That is going to bring them much closer to this gold gap, but Samsung in range to stall them for the time being. Some nice pink wards from T1K to cover their back. And Faker just picking up the white while he's waiting. Neither team really prepared to get complete vision control just yet. T1K is going to go ahead and start the dragon. They do have some nice damage. Teleport coming in from Acorn. T1K spots it. Piglet is already in ambush way back in the across the wall. A crescendo only hitting Bengi and Pumandu. There's a Mega Inferno Bomb. Bengi very low with an intervention keeps him alive as he takes Hart down. Piglet shows up for across the wall to pick up a second kill on Spirit. Dade does get Bengi, but he was already just sacrificed by T1K. Piglet tried to chase through with that ambush to get the slow on Def, but they're just going to turn around, try to fight Acorn and Dade. Acorn gets Mondu very low. Oh, Mondu barely gets hit by the third bounce on bouncing bomb from Dade.
And 2 for 2 over in that trade. Bit of a sloppy engage there from Samsung, but they don't have the best engage in the world. Like, they have to hit that crescendo, and they couldn't follow up on it immediately as well. So SKT did a good job of zoning out from the stun members, and are they going to get this dragon?
Uh-oh, 2 members are very high health on Samsung Blue. Impact caught behind by the Voidoos. Are they going to chase through? Impact doesn't have his ultimate up, but he does have Flash. Samsung Blue will let them go. Dragon goes to T1K.
So again, a win for T1K. And look at this, nobody's there to follow up. Also, Samsung is horribly split right now, so the damage comes in only after the CC is down. And people caught inside the Cataclysm. Bengi will bite the dust. He's kiting out right now. Here's the Voidoos after he gets into the brush, and well, we got some action.
Yeah, we will have to jump back into the game as T1K now regroups. You know, got to give credit to that intervention too. After Bengi jumps in, they just keep him alive in that Cataclysm. And Spirit this time, they locked Spirit down so he couldn't run away. Piglet gets the ambush on Dade. He is going to go down to the poison ticks. And Piglet, the engine has been turned on the ambush machine.
Well, that's how good this Youmuu's blade combo is. It really does a lot of work right there, and it can surprise the hell out of you.
Look at the speed on that Twitch. He's coming back for more, but will back off. 5, 2, and 5, and probably just going to keep climbing, rather, in that KDA. Impact with his teleport up is going to finally push down this tier 1 and bottom. No one there to stop him just yet. Acorn's making speed. Cassidy can get across the map pretty fast, but not fast enough to save the tower. Impact will take the tower, back off.
And SKTK closing this gold gap. They have the superior initiation, that's for sure. The crescendo really the only thing that Samsung has. Otherwise, they're going to have to make picks or just defend right here. Their counter engage is fantastic if they can get SKT to make a bad engage themselves. But with the tidal wave and the follow-up of the Shyvana ultimate, they can catch this relatively squishy team of Samsung Blue out. And the longer this game goes, we see Impact already with his second Negatron cloak. That magic resist means that Deft is really going to be the only threat.
Yeah, and if he can keep Dade or Acorn just engulfed in a duel or a chase, then of course Bengi can focus on keeping either Spirit or Deft down for Piglet to take out. That last fight at Dragon really showing just what work T1K can do when they get the skills they want.
Ooh, I like this pickup actually. Mandu has a Stark's Fervor.
Oh man.
This game, and when you have big auto-attacking champions like Twitch and Kale, that's going to actually do a lot for your sustain over the course of a team fight. So this is a rather unique support pickup, but one that is very well suited to the composition. You know, it's even going to do a lot for Shyvana once she completes a Blade of the Ruin King.
The more we look at it, the Jarvan Damascus standard, we have the Zeke's Herald.
Yeah, a lot of attack speed.
So much attack speed for the 3 remaining teammates on T1K. Twitch might not even have to come out of ambush to get an assassination in a team fight. They have so many buffs going for him.
Spirit, the Youmuu's too with the attack speed. Yeah. I mean, the rate at which Piglet can shred you right now is pretty ridiculous, but that's a very fun time to see this item come into play, completing it as his second core support item.
And as you mentioned, he's not going to need that last Whisper right now because we have that Kale with, again, all these buffs on top of his Brunette's Hurricane.
And Faker's attack speed is 1.8 right now.
That's disgusting as he gets chased by 3 members.
Well, it's 1.8 when he's not around Nami. I'm very curious as to what it is when he is around Nami. Probably around 2 or a little less.
Yeah, that's one of the higher attack speeds we'll see the game. Of course, 2.5 is the maximum attack speed. Faker just trying to draw out the Samsung team into the open, waiting for a nice ambush. Piglet always skirting around the outside. He's been playing much more careful since the laning phase has been over. Faker getting dangerously out in front. He's going to get caught by 2 members, but he's going to dodge the kick from Spirit as he walks right into the wall. Bengi not going to get the knockup just yet, but Spirit way to skate first. He has both Spirit and Deft are caught in the Cataclysm. Piglet gets an assassination onto Hard. Bengi not able to survive as Faker puts an intervention on himself to follow through with that extra damage, but Acorn jumping around with the Void Walks, and he's going to get so much damage onto Kumandu. Double kill for Dade. Mandu very low. Impact has to run away on his own. The turnaround from Samsung.
Triple kill for Dade. He used Satchel Charge to boost himself back into the fight. And speaking of, this is why Dade is such a monster on Ziggs with Ghost. He is so fast in these team fights, and his positioning with Ghost is excellent. So he's able really to have this high mobility to get far more damage down than you would think possible. It is a risk in the laning phase, but Dade confident enough his abilities, and now they're going to get an inhibitor off of the Dade triple.
Yep. Impact will stop the wave right there, but I think Samsung's happy with that pickup. And man, Spirit and Deft both getting caught, but Piglet was a little bit separated, focused on taking hard out. Let's see how this panned out in the very beginning.
Spirit coming in right there. Faker actually just dodging the other way. He mind gamed Spirit a little bit right there. And Deft, I thought it was going to be too late, actually, because the Cataclysm come down. Now, Deft's flash is up, but look at the zoning from Dade. Here's the Ghost, too. He's just moving every which way. Deft knows that he has some time, so he doesn't use the flash immediately. Baits people in as long as possible. Now, watch Dade. Boom. Bomb.
Oh, man.
So good.
What a play.
And he's still got the Ghost, too, so...
Just disgusting Ziggs play, really. And you got to give it to him with that Mega Inferno Bomb, too. He took so much advantage of Piglet and Mandu being separated from the team. Kept them zoned out for the whole time. Piglet looking for an assassination onto Acorn, not gonna find it.
Well, we've seen the upsides and downsides of these summoners so far in this game. Yes, Dade's great in team fights, but without that heal, he is more vulnerable to Twitch ganks.
Yes.
So it's been a bit back and forth.
Piglet taking a lot of damage. There's a Mega Inferno Bomb. Piglet almost dies. Oh, he gets caught by the Living Artillery. A snipe. 360 no-scope coming in from Deft, and there's a slow on to Faker. Faker at half health. There's a Zonius just to keep Faker baited in. A nice crescendo to catch him before he can even use intervention. Acorn picks up that kill. Samsung is back in full force as they climb up with a 4K gold lead.
This game has been so awesome, Chobra, because this is one of those times where everybody just wants to team fight. We've got all of these champions that deal a lot of AoE and are built for the 5v5. And so the back and forth in the team fighting this game has led to a very high kill. And yet the team fights have been great to watch too, just insanely technical.
And that's an easy barrier for Samsung. T1K will just try to console themselves with a dragon.
Meanwhile, and you really can't overstate this, Deft against a high CC composition, including a Jarvan pick that was intended to shut him down, is 5-0 and 10.
That's quite amazing, really.
And there's Deft on your screen right now, who just really good positioning. And this is why, I mean, we look at Deft, and you have to say that this guy is one of the best team fighting AD carries in the world.
Absolutely.
Because that last team fight especially just showed his poise, because I thought that he would flash right after the Cataclysm, but instead, he wasn't concerned at all. And in fact, he just waited there and continued auto-attacking until he started to get afraid. And that actually kept SKTK around longer than I think they would have stuck around otherwise. Because if he had immediately flashed out and been free, I think they would have retreated. But I think the mentality of, oh, we have Kog'Maw all boxed up right here, made them overstay their welcome.
Yeah, Deft, you know, doesn't flash forward like an alpha male, like some players we know.
No.
He pulls it off very well, and we know other players who do this, but they also don't have such massive KDAs. But Deft really makes it work with his team. And Heart's gonna get caught by Piglet. Heart was just baiting him out, though. We have Spirit nearby. Piglet takes a lot of damage from both Dade and the Living Artillery coming in from Deft far behind. Yeah, T1K didn't want to take a bite out of that apple. And Acorn is going to take down the tier 2 up top. Someone needs to respond. Impact is already on his way up, but he doesn't have teleport, so T1K will give up another tier 2 and bottom. Samsung now just systematically chipping away against the red side base here of T1K.
Well, Cassidy is a pretty crappy split pusher with an AP build, but even so, he's drawn enough pressure away from Shyvana that it's going to be another inhibitor taken with little resistance.
Yeah, Acorn not afraid to jump in with that Rod of Ages, also that shield on his Q after the rework, really making work of that skill set. And you gotta give it to Acorn too. What a massive champion pool. This guy plays the conventional champions and unconventional champions.
That he can play so many at a competitive level. Certainly this season he has shown more diversity than any other top laner.
Absolutely. We you have that Lulu, the casted of Rumble still comes up now and then for him, a pocket pick. But then he plays for next gen Shyvana like none other. Impact takes a lot of damage from by Arcane Barrage. Banky just can't stand up front. Look at Spirit diving very deep to just kick Faker in. Banky forced to respond, but a flash forward crescendo onto Mandu, and there's the slow Mega Inferno Bomb, picks up the kill. Faker forced to use intervention on his spell. Spirit so tanky, he's been dancing around. All 5 members of T1K. Piglet gets caught by the Zonias. He's gonna have to flash away from the Sonic Wave, and Spirit will eventually go down. A little bit too eager for that kill, actually. Every member of Samsung a little bit too eager to chase through on the fountain. Faker has healed up and is back, but Deft religiously takes down that inhibitor, and there's the set charge backward on Impact. A kill for Deft. Ziggs, played by Dade, is just really showing us how Ziggs was meant to be played. So much mobility both for himself and the enemies. Faker just caught in that minefield. He's gonna get taken down by Deft. And Samsung Blue will end the second set 24-13 and lead the Samsung organization to a 2-0 lead against SKT T1.
Well, Dade, total monster too. Over an 80.